South Florida area. If the gerrymandering, if they go through the process as they are trying to, that seat will now go back into an original seat that it was, which becomes a very toss-up seat, and if we lose that seat, now we have no black representation here within the state in Congress. So that's the implication that I want you all to understand. Now, will they be sued? Of course the state will be sued. But if you have seen anything that has happened in Tallahassee over the past 8 years since Governor DeSantis has been there, you will see that they try the courts every single time. Why? To send it to the Supreme Court. Because they know that they have a Republican-led Supreme Court. Because the legislature did not finalize the budget, we will be going back into a special session to vote on what? I just said it. Redistricting. All right. Florida state budget is approximately how much? All right. So it is $117 billion. Here's what I tell you where we're at right now. The governor proposed a $117 billion budget. The House proposed a $114 billion budget. And the Senate proposed a $115 billion budget. The reason why we're in the predicament that we're in, anybody who knows Tallahassee politics, that the House and the Senate has to agree on the budget and all the budget allocations must align. Right now, the House and the Senate are about $1.3 billion away as far as budget allocations are concerned. Some of you might be asking, Shevrin, 1,800 bills were filed. And of those bills that were filed, of those 1,800 bills were filed, how many of those bills were probably that were Democrat bills that were heard, that you can just think of? Ms. Tina said none. No. 1,000. Percentage-wise, less than 1% of the bills that were heard were Democratic bills. But let me tell you why because I don't want to assume that everybody here are Democrats. The reason why I say that is because just like property insurance, those type of bills, those bills were filed by Democratic colleagues. Why? Because we represent districts like Miami Gardens. We represent districts like Central Florida area. We represent areas like Leon County. These are individuals who filed these because they are directly hitting the people and trying to help people directly. Less than 1% of those bills were filed. Actually were heard. How many of the bills, of those 1,800 bills that we voted on, how many of them are sitting on the governor's desk right now? Somebody said all of them. You would think so. No, only 239 bills. This year will make the lowest number of bills that have ever sit on a governor's desk when it comes to moving anybody's agenda. So that means that for 60 days, we were in Tallahassee and did not do the business in which the people we know desperately need within the state. And that's just me being honest with you. Number 6, out of those, I said it was 269 bills that were heard. The next one is, instead of focusing on lowering everyday costs, the legislature spent time debating issues like, I'm sure y'all heard on the news, DEI. So for those of you, I'm gonna pause there. For those of you who don't know, so Miami Gardens, as you all know, is the largest black district, largest black city in the state of Florida, third largest in the country. Now the state legislature passed a bill that says that no city or municipality can pay or promote any type of programs that are basically culturally presented. So that means Women's History Month, that means they have to look at the policy when it comes to Black History Month, that means they got to look at the policy when it comes to Juneteenth, which you all are used to doing year after year. All of these programs, now your attorney are going to have to go back and reevaluate all of those programs to make sure that they are not running afoul of the law. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is because when you see some programs that you're used to seeing that you don't see them anymore, just know that they are, your council members are doing what Tallahassee tells them to do, which, by mind you, so you all know, is preemptive. The Tallahassee is saying that we know best, We're going to tell municipalities what to do, and that's what you're seeing right now. And this leads me to the same conversation so you all can understand, because you all will see it in November, and that is the elimination of property taxes. Now, it sounds good on bumper stickers, right, and it sounds good on commercials, but the elimination of property taxes will put a stronghold on your city.
That's right.
It will tie the hands of your council members, the services that are offered, amazing services at that, in the city of Miami Gardens, will have to go into reevaluation. We're going to have to, not we, but your council members are going to have to figure out how do they govern, and I guarantee you, the only thing they're going to have to come up with is they're going to have to raise taxes. Oh, I ain't got to do with that.
Yeah, $400,000 Juneteenth, that's what they need is
I'll give y'all the state up there.
Not in Miami, come on, Miss Cindy.
So I want you all to be cautious, because when you all see this on the ballot, it's going to look very flashy and how it reads. But I'm just begging you all to read between the lines. Your services, your 911 services, will be impacted.
Medical services.
Will be impacted.
Jackson Memorial Hospital.
Will be impacted. I mean, the list continues to go on. Children's Trust, where the services for our children, for daycare, will be impacted. So I just want you all to be aware of that. Number 8, Florida currently ranks in the what half nationally for teacher pay?
last,
The bottom half.
yeah.
The bottom half. And just so you all know, now here's one thing that I will say was bipartisan in what we did this legislative session, and that was we removed the regulations for school districts and how they can spend their money. The argument that the Democrats have made year after year since I was in the House back in 2012 was that we are allowing these private schools and these charter schools to spend money how they want, while the public schools are restrained for how they spend their money. Now, the school district has the leverage to be able to spend the money out of any categorical as they desire to, even if they want to put it to teacher raises and different things of that nature. Here's where the difficult part comes in. On the last day of session, a bill came in, and the bill came forward, and this bill was trying to allow for the extra dollars that your council members put into a pot, say if they want to start a charter school in the city. They're now forcing cities to share that with charter schools in their city. Exactly. So if Miami Gardens said we want to start our own charter school, and you all vote and say that, listen, the dollars that we bring in, the extra, I don't know if it's pay tax or whatever the case might be, and you all said we want this to go to our charter school. The bill that they tried to get in says that even if the people voted for that you still have to share it with another charter school who sits in the city, whether they allow them to come in here or not. The only reason why it didn't pass, now I'm saying that's not going to come next year, the only reason why it did not pass is because it was trying to be placed on a Democrat's bill. And so it had to be up for negotiation. But I want you all to be careful, because you'll see that again next legislative session. I'll give you the last 2 things, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. And this is probably the most important one, because the councilwoman talked about it, and the vice mayor mentioned, if you don't like what's happening, the next step is not to complain, it's to do what? Is to vote. Because the state of Florida did their own version of the SAVE Act. And I want you to be clear what is going to happen when you go to the polls in the coming cycles. Since 2006, students were allowed to use their student ID to vote. Now, students can no longer use their student ID to vote. They have to have their driver's license. And it has to be a real ID. All right? The second thing is, if you live in a senior facility back in 2006, the same bill was passed that allows seniors to be able to use a senior facility ID. You can no longer use that. You have to use a driver's license. If you need to re-register to vote, here's the biggest one. If you need to re-register to vote, they have now separated it within tiers. of the proof of identification in which you need, which is tier 1, is a birth certificate. Let me tell you why it's difficult for our community. Because there are individuals who have already called our office who cannot find their birth certificate. So we're not only looking for clarification, we're trying to figure out what can be done to ensure that individuals who do not have that type of identification, that they can still vote. I'll tell you what's going to happen, and I know it. We said it when we were in debate, and I can tell you when you get to the polls, it will happen. Individuals are going to get to the polls, they're going to think they can vote, and they're not going to be able to. And so, what I would admonish to the leaders of this community and also to you all is that 2 things that you should ask people when it comes to voting, as they prepare to vote in the primary coming up in August. The first question is, do they have a real ID? If they do not have a real ID, please tell them to call our office or call one of the council members to get in contact with our office, and we will set them up an appointment to get a real ID. That's the first one. And the last one, that if they do have a real ID, and individuals do not have a birth certificate, we're working with some organizations now to get a birth certificate so you can have it. Reach out to our office so we can get you a birth certificate, and we can get access to your birth certificate so you can have them so you can get your voter registration if that's needed. I'm gonna step back and now open it up for questions. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a friend, she's been married twice,
Yep.
so she's having a problem, registering to vote because her birth certificate has one name, and now she's changed her last name twice.
Okay.
So what does she need to do? Does she need to bring like the birth certificates?
So she needs to bring the proof of, right, all the proof of her name changes, and also the information for her new name. So, and after we finish, just connect with me so I can get with Karen. Yes, ma'am.
Are they gonna do away with mail-in voting?
So, good question. So they did not do away with mail-in voting, this year. The rules that we passed in 2024 still remains, right. So mail-in ballot is still the case. But know this, if you have not, remember you have to renew your vote, to vote by mail after every cycle. So if you're trying to vote by mail in August, my suggestion is to request your vote by mail ballot now, so you can have it. Because remember, there is a cutoff date when you can request your vote by mail ballot. Good question. Another question? Any other question? Yes, sir.
Is there a deadline for the governor to sign bills in the law?
Yes, so the governor has 15 days when it reaches his desk. And then once it reaches his desk, if he doesn't sign it within 15 days, it becomes law automatic. So and he has quite a few bills still that have not made it to his desk.
If you guys have any questions, type them in the chat now.
Well, it has to be done by July 1, because the budget has to
Now, the accessory dwelling bill passed.
be done. Yes.
Did he sign it yet?
He has not signed it yet, and I'll be honest with you, that I would not be surprised if he vetoed it.
Yes.
Accessory dwelling. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
My question is, back to one question. You, with messages,
Okay.
now with messages,
Yeah.
different areas. Or, you collecting names now, or, now another section of legislation, which names already gone for a period of a couple months well from last year. How is that going to affect the people who have those names and go right to the city to take over the road and the drainage, and they came and they send the survey and the survey surveyed it? What about that?
Hold on, one second. Go ahead.
If you have a gold Cadillac truck,
Yes, don't read anything else.
all right, you blocking someone.
Huh?
You're blocking someone. Somebody say you're blocking them.
I'm not blocking anyone, but I will.
Maybe they can't drive.
They drive, that's the truth.
Now, I can't answer, so just so you know, like, once the dollars reach the city, the city has the leverage, the city manager, they have the leverage to do how based on what those dollars are for, they can do however they want to do it. The legislature, we don't control how the city does that process.
And I think that one of the things that you're confusing is this, when the money is applied for, it's specifically applied for a Leslie Estates number,
No.
right? So if it was Leslie Estates number 4, when the application went in, it went in on number 4. But let's say we had a second appropriation for Leslie Estates for the drainage system, that went in for them, it didn't go in for all of the Leslie Estates. So when they apply for those dollars, it's specifically to remedy a problem in whichever Leslie.
He said yes, there's vote by mail.
And there, I think.
In
we did one and two was
2026.
funded already. And there was another one in Elizabeth States for this session, wasn't it? I don't think so. Well, 1 and 2 was funded.
What I understand, you can, what has happened, they have asked the Tallahassee for $1.3 million as
That's what,
asked for $1.3 million more.
for Leslie State 1 and 2.
Let's say 1 and 2.
Okay.
So,
Minus estate over here is 2. One is 1 and 1 is 2.
okay. You
Question?
want me to look into it?
What's the
So tell me
question?
the question. You want, I'm listening.
Oh God, we gonna be all day.
Talk with some people,
Sure,
right?
yes.
And we get an answer. That's why we're asking you, because we need it in the week. I asked Councilman Stephen, a long time ago, he was planning to get back with me, and he told me something that I didn't like.
What's the question?
Tell me your question. Maybe he's
Yeah,
here.
maybe I come on, I get a million questions a day, so I remember
The question
exactly.
was about, let's just say, that roads and drainage.
Right. Do we have funding allocated for that project? Are you speaking of, do we have funding allocated for Leslie Estates number 2? Is that the question?
Yes,
Leslie's 1 and 2. So we did receive funding from the state for Leslie Estates 1 and 2. The funding, and don't quote me on it, the funding that the city has in the budget, I believe is for Leslie Estates number 4. If that's correct, am I correct on that? So the funding that's in the budget now from the city that we've been putting aside each budget cycle, that's to bring improve the quality of life in Leslie number 4. And that's based off surveys in neighborhoods. One second. So Leslie Estates number 4 has city funding that's been put aside through our CDG funds and other funds aside over the years to do the renovation in that community. That's what Councilwoman Wilson spoke about as it relates to getting the signatures and being able to go in there on the private road to do the work. Leslie Estates number 1 and 2, the state secured funding through our state legislators, Senator Jones, and I believe Representative Robinson is on that as well. Well, right, so our state representative and our state senator, in the last year's budget cycle from the state, they was able to secure funding, $1.6 million to bring relief to Leslie Estates number 1 and 2. So that project, have they started the renovations? Is that project underway? I can find out that answer for you. That'll be led through our public works department for drainage improvement infrastructure.
Because we know that.
Oh God, we gonna be all day.
They come and they do the survey.
Can we do this? Can we sidebar after the meeting?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me see what they said. What is Florida doing to address sea level rise, flooding, and extreme heat, as well as the increasing amount of, what'd she say, AI building infrastructures going on here?
Data
How's that?
centers particularly?
I'm sorry?
Data centers?
Yeah.
specifically?
Yeah.
So, as far as environmental bills,
Okay.
the only thing that the legislature did this year was to, they protected the rural boundary lines. Senator Alexis Caladiou filed an amendment to the land use bill, which was a whole mess within itself, but to ensure that we protect the rural boundary line. For individuals who don't know, the rural boundary line ensures that there can be no building out within the Everglades. So there's a boundary, and the legislature was trying to move the boundaries. So that's the first part when it comes to that. No, nothing against, nothing for sea level rise. As far as data centers are concerned, data centers, it did pass, this passed legislation, and because of the growing number of, growing of AI, that's why these data centers are coming. The one thing that they did do is that municipalities, if a company wants to build a data center, it gives the municipality the leverage to be able to tell where they want to build that data center. It cannot be into a certain mile radius of residential areas. And there's one more thing that came when it came to data centers and AI. And the last thing, since we're on AI, I'll say is that, as you know, the governor did the AI Bill of Rights. It didn't go anywhere, only because there was too much negotiation that was happening both in the House and the Senate. AI is so new, in trying to regulate it, they don't know how it will affect the school districts, how it will affect those who are already current. Yeah, no problem. Ms. Tina, I see that.
You already know what I'm saying.
I already know what you're
Okay. All the
saying.
So, you don't want to black and white. Don't go to court for them judges. You have the black and white.
I ain't got no back. So Ms. Tina, here's what we should do. Me, you, Vice Mayor and Councilman, we should get together before session next year. Let's write up what does it look like. I don't know what the cost is for the seawall, right? I think when we did put in money for the seawall, it did not get funded. It didn't get funded. Making a big budget, as you know, Governor vetoed it. There's a new governor coming in November, so I think we should try again and let's see if we can get that.
The difficulty about seawalls, because this has been a brainchild of mine since I've been in office. The difficulty about it is that ultimately, like in your instance, in your case, a seawall is essentially that property owner's responsibility. So to take funding to fix an individual property is very, 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 very hard. So what we have done, because we are working on seawalls, is that we began to fix the seawall areas holistically so that it can essentially improve the foundation individually. But what we have worked on, without the state giving us extra money, is taking what we call our CDG funds that comes from the federal government and include seawall renovation into individual senior project housing initiatives and things of that nature to provide assistance. Because when you do look on average, the average wall is like $20,000. So we know that a fixed income, which is a senior who's retired, can't just take $20,000 out the bank and fix the seawall. So we are working that avenue, and you are one of the first.
Because I was thinking about this chat
On the
thing,
list.
but that's
I
not
promise you,
that.
that's
No,
all.
because you
And
said
that's
something
rough.
about seniors. You said something about seniors, so I was like,
You
CBG.
first.
Oh, this. I said it in front of everybody. You call.
And what we will do, according to what the senator said, because it's been, and I know our staff, you've spoken with our deputy city manager, Mr. Craig Clay, and Mr. George Wright, I know you've spoken to them, and they give me an update every time they talk to me. So, I know, but what we will do is set up a meeting to see where you are in that process, so that we can push that along. Absolutely. Right in outside of you.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what CBG.
So, since I'm gonna go back to the cultural wars that's going on.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's such an attack on people of color. Now with Juneteenth celebration coming up, that may change. But what about the Jewish community? Because they're implementing specific things to be done in support of the Jews, the Jewish community, and it has to be even taught in our schools. So what are we doing to make sure our issue
Yeah.
is being taught and is able to be celebrated?
Yeah,
Because
so,
I'm tired.
yeah, well, I'll give you two things. So, what many black communities are doing now is you have
And the
cities
church.
who are starting their own schools. The legislature now allows it, so cities are starting their own schools, so we can teach our own. Churches are partnering together and bringing programs together and starting schools, together, because.
They have Holocaust remembrance
Yes, they
day
do.
in January 27th.
Yeah.
Do we have Slavery Day?
No, we don't. They gave us a slavery memorial that's parked under a tree that sheds every day. That's the only thing that they've done for us. But here's what I will say, and the council members, you all can take this, if you wanna file, you should, look into this and talk with your attorney. But the law does not go into effect until January 1st, 2027. And the question that was asked about the law was, could cities and municipalities and counties, could they, if they wrote in ordinance, those programs that might run afoul of the law, if they wrote it before January 2027, what does that do? That means it said that it's grandfathered in. So I think you all should sit down with your
What was the
attorney.
answer?
You sit down with the attorney, yes, it is, it can, it's grandfathered in. So if you all have programs that run afoul of the law, then you all should write those programs in ordinance before it goes to law, say this is for 20 years or whatever case. Yeah.
So now, but let's be clear. Juneteenth is a national.
It's a national holiday, and it's recognized by the federal government, so
it
it's
doesn't
fine.
apply.
It doesn't apply here.
Yeah, so let's be real clear about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Because we got other issues
They can
here.
change
Yeah.
it.
Well, now, if they change it, then it's gonna be a national change.
Right,
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
no, we're good. Like, anything that's recognized nationally is good. I'll say, take your last question, Ms. Tina, and then I'm gonna close out.
I gotta take the Rainbow Park is closing at the end of the season.
Which part?
Rainbow Park.
So, now, for transparency, there's some schools who's gonna close.
Murder Grove.
Because, I'll tell you, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you some schools, and that's not doing especially, of course, it's not, are doing, but what, is, I know, let me tell you. So, and I think, I'm sorry to end on this type of note, but since you brought it up, I'll say it. I think we should absolutely be prepared for a great number of schools within our community to close. And what you're gonna see is, a lot of these schools are gonna start combining. Let me tell you why this is happening. First of all, people ain't having children like that anymore. And so therefore, we have a decline as far as kids are concerned. Second, the cost of living is too much, so people are moving out of the state of Florida, more particularly within South Florida. The third thing that you're seeing is, remember, last year, the state legislature opened up schools to where you can homeschool, parents can get money to keep their kids at home, or they can go, so kids are staying home, kids are going to other schools, and so the public school system is what's being affected. And now, because of under enrollment, they got to shut down.
You know, we used to bus kids from way over yonder.
Oh, I reckon, yes, ma'am.
30 years ago.
Bus kids, and now all of a sudden, you just close the school. Now, what about the few kids that in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
Their parents might have to take them to either
Yeah.
one car or open up the elementary.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be on them because that's in 2 miles. They're gonna get a bus.
Ms. Tina, here's what I tell y'all, and I'll be done.
guys, do me a favor. Like, as long as we're having a presentation, don't talk. Because these are serious comments, we need to respond to them, you need to hear the response, so that when you tell others, you will tell them what is accurately said. And sometimes a lack of attention, for one moment, for one split second, you can miss something, okay? So it's important what is being conversed and experienced, and to hear what his response is, because you're gonna be affected by it. You know, so it's very important.
I appreciate that, Councilman. So here's what I'll tell you all and how we can change this, right? We have a numbers problem in Tallahassee. It's a numbers problem. And so because we are in the super minority, we do not have the numbers to stop anything. But we changed that in November, and I'll tell you why. If you've been following Brian Nathan just won in Tampa. He beat a Republican who she thought she raised what, billions of dollars. He only had $100,000 and he won. I'm not trying to make this a political because I don't want to do that, but I will tell you that they ain't polling well. And if that carries over because national policies are playing into these elections that we see right now, and if this continues, we will see it. But I will tell you all, we need 2 more seats to be able to at least get 2/3. We get 2/3, now we have the leverage to stop a lot of this bad stuff that we're seeing right now. We have a numbers problem, and that's why the midterms are going to be so important for us this upcoming year.
And the midterms are when, August?
The midterms are in November. The midterms are in November. August is primary.
Yes.
You got primary, you got your general election that's happening in November. I end with this. It's always a pleasure to come talk with you all. I purposely told my staff that I did not want to give you all a just boring talk at you type of conversation. I want it to be interactive because I want you all to know how it's happening in Tallahassee, what's happening in Tallahassee, and so you all can be educated and you can go carry this news out to other people. I'll be very frank with you all. November is going to be extremely important. I can't stress it enough. I can't stress it enough. And if I've never been serious enough, hear me when I tell you all. And my regard is the one thing I appreciate about y'all black folks vote, which is amazing. They know it. And that's the one thing you all are educated voters. They know you are educated voters, and I hope that you all maintain that, and that we continue to be the thriving city that we are. Thank you all. I love you all.
There's questions that he gave out.
They're always good to get the information.
I'm sorry, can I do one thing? Can I just give a shout out to Karen? My staff, they are amazing. So, if you need anything, just reach out to Karen.
Yes, our contact information are on the bottom of the pop quizzes, our office contact, and the blue forms. You can sign up for our newsletter. So we send out a monthly newsletter at the end of every month. You can keep up with everything that we're doing. Yes, you can.
Are you Carrington?
Yes, I
Okay,
am.
just want to make sure.
Okay, so, are there any other questions that you have regarding anything?
Oh, no, never mind. He's walking.
Well, I wanted to raise a question or bring it to the attention of Councilwoman Gaskins. And I'm not as familiar with your area in terms of the construction and things like that that are going on, but I can get that answer for you, and then hopefully we can kind of limit it.
Sorry, I had to go 10. But I think BG means Councilman Stevens.
All right, so we have our code enforcement at this time, and we're going to ask Claire to come on up and give her report.
This is gonna be real quick. I just want to, kind of update you all, knowing that, soon we'll be having Formula One, we'll be having, FIFA, Formula One, those things are coming very, very soon. And I wanted to bring that up because we've already started receiving few phone calls with some residents that are concerned with the parking, because we've had issues last year when we have people parking, paying for parking into your private property. We wanted to bring that to your attention now to remind you that that's something that we don't allow. And also, it causes even more congestion than what is already going to be when that comes. So just be mindful of that when you allow that to happen. We've had such a bad situation with cars coming into our closed environments, in like Leslie Estate area, over by the where the stadium is. People trying to park all on their property and even on neighbors' properties because they're maybe gone out, maybe working or not at their property, and you're having to park on your neighbor's property. You can't do that. So just be mindful of that, knowing that you cannot do any private parking of vehicles. The stadium has the control of the parking. Whatever they charge is what they charge. So be mindful of that. Those are violations, and what's happening is, neighbors are taking pictures, taking videos, and then they're getting that to us. And because they're getting it to us, and they don't have a problem giving us their name and their information, we actually had to take cases to court, last year. And we were able to actually get fines on those properties. Thankfully, the people came and they paid the fines, and we were able to solve no putting any liens on property. But do know those cases will stand because, people are seeing it and people are not happy with it, bringing that kind of congestion into the neighborhood. Also, I want to bring to your attention that we have on April 25th, we have the tree giveaway that is available. That's going to be at
Rolling Oaks.
A&T Ferguson. And that's going to be available. You should be receiving information about that if you haven't already. And that's just something I want to bring to your attention. Also, I addressed several complaints I received at the last time I was here concerning chickens and vehicles and commercial vehicles parked. We were able to address those issues and have them taken care of. We were able to cite and have it resolved. So again, when you do provide us with your complaints, and you don't have to actually give us much information when I'm here publicly with you, you can always give information to Councilman Wilson or to Jamal, give that information to them and to me, or write it down, the address. We don't have to give much information here. But if you contact our office, or you call us, or you come down to our office, you cannot remain anonymous. But here, you're giving your information to them. However you give it is how you give it. I don't have to know that information. But if you call us, you have to give us all your information. But we are seeking you to please don't remain silent when it comes to violations in your city and your communities. We do look forward to getting that type of information because we want to keep the blight out of our communities. Anybody have any questions or concerns?
This weekend, Carroll City High School had their picnic at Risco Park. And so you had a lot of people parked on 191st Street on the handicap ramp near the fire, in fact, fire hydrant. Like, it was just kind of everywhere. So my question is, does code enforcement work in conjunction with the event planners in terms of putting out notifications so that folks are aware that they cannot block the sidewalk because you had a lot of people in the streets? I mean, police were out there giving tickets, but it was just kind of everywhere. So I'm just curious, is that something that code enforcement does, or is, if not, the thought to do?
Police is actually a police.
Okay, police, okay.
It's a police violation, and what we do is we piggyback off of police. So parking violations, dealing with vehicles and things like that, that is police. So we do have access to write up tickets, tow vehicles, parking tickets is with police. So primarily it's with them, but if we were out there, or we're out there, we're able to address it. We don't have a program that we're working with them.
Yeah, no, maybe I said it incorrectly. When they may have a sign that puts up that says no parking here. Is that, what department, is that you, or is that Public Works, or who does that? Because that's.
Public Works is the one that will put up the signs.
Okay.
But we don't address that.
Okay, that's just, okay, just strictly, okay.
Enforce it.
Okay.
I just need a clarification. So, if I'm understanding you clearly, it's a code violation for someone to, I don't know, have parking on their own property?
If you're for pay, yes, if you're paying someone, if you're allowing someone to park on your property for money, yes.
Is that legitimately written in?
Yes, that's
What's
a
that
form of getting money for parking. You cannot do any type of thing when you're trying to get money for parking, any type of business. There's no type of business within.
What if you have a business permit? Because 'Cause I
So
know
we don't
my-
give any type of business permits for parking on your property. We don't give that type of license. Now, I see,
I'm over in the Scotland area, where they have the wall where the turnpike is, or the expressway.
say again,
Where the expressway is here, where the wall is, right off of 183rd Street. It clearly says no parking at any time. They've had karaoke, everything they have over there, they park along that wall all the way to the bottom. Mr. Tisdall lives at the end of that, who's a blind fellow. And so they use that wall, and then they're backed into the yards that are along that wall as well. But it clearly says no parking. And the rickshaws, now that Scott Park is completed, they've had people along there, where they pick them up in the rickshaws and take them to the, it's just ridiculous. We can't get in and out of this community when they have those things.
for that, that would be police, because for us, the car has to be illegally parked as far as, what we consider an issue for, code to be able to address. It has to be, expired tags, it has to be something like, the vehicle has to be, derelict. But just parking illegally, that's police, because we're not police. But
When it says, though it has a sign that says no parking at any time, that's a police?
yes, that's police, that's not code. I believe that's like.
I just want to circle back to what the lady asked about the parking in the yard. So what you're saying, they can park in the yard, but as long as they don't pay.
Right, we're talking about when you're paying, when you're having, you see people have the signs up, $50, you know, trying to have them
So-
park into your yard, that's illegal.
Like people who live in the proximity of the stadium have friends, and sometimes
Okay,
friends,
so, right, that's
and they
something
want-
completely different.
that's fine. No matter how many cars in the yard, that's
That's
fine.
completely different. That's completely different. Yes.
They just give donations.
There's
It's not a pay, it's a donation.
When you come down to trucks and stuff, parking on the front, or into your yard, they say they don't want those trucks in your yard.
At all.
Why is that?
That's in our ordinance, it's not allowed. That's a part of the ordinance that has been written in the city of Miami Gardens. We're enforcing the ordinance.
I think what he's asking is why.
We just, code enforcement abides by the ordinance, so it's something that was written up in our ordinance, and we enforce it. We just enforce whatever is in the ordinance.
A lot of times, you know, just historically speaking, since we became a city, there were things that residents complained about that they didn't like, that was going on in our communities in different sections. And what started to happen in order to bring the city up to a higher standard, they started outlawing things like old trucks, unused trucks, you know, it just, a lot of stuff was going on that other neighbors were complaining about. And unfortunately, we had a lot of terrible, unworking vehicles, people that left things unattended, like I said, industrial trucks, commercial vehicles, in areas that were residential. And so they started to create ordinances that would not allow those things to happen. So the genesis of a lot of the ordinances started with the residents, and really trying to move us up to a higher standard in terms of cleaning and clearing the neighborhoods. I'm gonna let you go ahead and pick.
Yeah, I just want to know if there's any way that some of these ordinances be, looked at, because some of it to me is.
Go to the charter review.
I mean, it makes, I mean, I can understand rationale. Some of these things have to go through rationale. It makes no sense, so I think, I don't know, that some of these things need to be looked at, just because they're on the book, don't mean they have to stay on the book.
I don't have a.
There's a charter review.
And I don't know the process that would be done to have an ordinance reconsidered, or maybe amended, or removed. But if there is an ordinance that you think needs some review, you can submit that to me and I can find out for you whether or not, I'm just using this as an example, whether or not people parking on the north side of the sidewalk of a home, whether or not that ordinance really is still a necessary part of what should be done. And maybe the council might agree. Maybe it may be a state requirement, it might be a county requirement. We don't know the genesis of a lot of these things in order for us to really determine whether or not we can accept them or we can't. But I don't have a problem with looking into that for you. Is that all right?
One other thing, when you get a summons or whatever they call it. Yeah, and if you comply, it stays on the book, correct? In other words, like, if you say to me, you need to move your garbage can. Okay, now that's what's on the book, so if they come back again, it's on the book, and I didn't comply, right?
No, if you receive a warning notice for having your garbage can out, say your garbage day was on a Tuesday, here it is, say it's Thursday, and your next day is not until Friday, whatever it is, it stayed longer than what it should, you got a warning, you removed it, then it's gone. But if you left it out there, chances are you can get a citation. That's when it goes to the next level. But it doesn't state on your, it can close out, the case can close out.
Yeah, because did I tell you something? Sure.
Well, are there any, yeah,
She had a
for
question.
second,
Yeah.
Are there any more questions
had a
regarding,
question.
code? And if there are, yes, and if there are, as soon as, she's done with answering the questions, she'll be able to talk, okay?
It's a vehicle that's been sitting in place for almost 2 years, and it has protruded so far in the ground. It doesn't have a tag.
It's on the public right away.
No, it's in a person's yard, it's in their yard, so what happens, you can
We
still
can
have
still
a
address
tag.
that, yeah, that's giving the appearance that it's, open air storage, it's just being stored on property. You can't store anything on the actual property, so we can address that.
I have several times, I haven't gotten, I don't know what the situation is, so I
We can give you the information and find out what the situation is. Yes,
That same situation is over by the post office. There's a car there without a tag, and it's been there for a long period of
yeah,
time.
give me the address and I can find out.
Okay.
You know, one of the things that I think is important, we, as a city, we advocate our residents letting us know these kinds of things. But in just as you guys are reporting what it is that you see, we get cussed out for it. The city gets a bad rap
You're a public official.
for enforcing what you're asking us to enforce. And it's never good when it's you that has to be enforced. But I can say this, that as a direct result of many people reporting, our community is getting better and better. The streets are cleaner, are being, it's a lot of repairs that are going on, the lights are getting better, there's a lot of stuff that's improving. But just as, like I call it the new mascot for South Florida, just as we are dealing with the chickens and the roosters, and they howling all night, right? We have to deal with people who are angry about you saying that these animals are not supposed to be around. So I guess what I'm saying to you is know that as we take your complaints and we really start to enforce them, that there's abuse that comes with that. And so what we don't want to do is we don't want you to abuse us because we are doing the job. Because when you ask us to do the job that you want us to do, it's gonna be an unsatisfied, angry customer on the other side. And so it's a road that travels both ways. Our goal is to try not to, we're not out there trying to get your money. That's not the goal, because we wanna give you adequate time to fix some things. Whether you agree with it or not is not the issue. The issue is what the ordinance says. And for us, it's much easier for you to get it done than for us to have to collect the money off of it. Now, I do know that we have different code enforcement officers, and all of them may not be created equal, which means their public service may not be as good as the next person. There's a lot of different variables. But really, the goal is to just try to make sure that the environment gets better, that it's safer, it's cleaner, and that, you know, for the most part, it complies with what we do. Okay? Any more? Yes, sir.
I got a question. So I got a relative, an uncle, their house burnt down in Miami Garden off of 175th. So they lost the house. They've been there over 30 years. So the house is a lot now. What they want to know is, can they, instead of building a house there, can they put a storage container house there?
I don't know. That's something that would be a building code enforcement thing. If you call the mall, we can get you with someone in our, code enforcement building thing, and they'll be able to tell you what kind of, zoning is in the area where you are. Okay? We'll be glad to do that. Any other questions? Any other concerns? Okay, so if you'd like to talk with the code enforcement officer, sir, she's here, and we'd be willing to help you out there. Next month, and for the rest of like May, June, July, I'm gonna have the Department of
I
Elections.
think that's in Rolling Oaks Park. I think she made a mistake and said Betty T.
For you to vote, the kinds of things that you're gonna need to prepare yourself. I want you all to make sure that not only you get the information, but that you include anybody that you know, so that people will be prepared. This midterm election is going to be a dry run for what will happen in November. And if you are able to start to prepare yourself for it, you know, the better it is.
That is the midterm.
I know that our seniors are very, very active and very, very reliable as it relates to voting. Sometimes our young people are not so much. But one of the things that our seniors have a history of doing, since many of them were a part of the civil rights movement, is that they know how to compel others to move, and they know how to move lockstep. I would encourage you to talk to the youth, to talk to the college students, to talk to your children, your grandchildren, you know, and help them to understand that if never before and at any other time before, we really need to know that democracy is under threat. It is not singularly about color, it is about your status. You know, one of the things that that has been frightening me to death, they were talking about the, what is that when people have to go to the military? What's it? Draft. And they said, you know, they'll draft up to age 42, right? And when I thought about that, I said, that's almost everybody I know. Like my sister has 3 sons. All of them will be gone. And so that could be a generation of people in a war for however long. You follow me? Who would be here? Yeah, girls and boys. You know, I say boys because they're the first. You know what I'm saying? And it's not gonna be voluntary. So let's just say, even if the girls win, where would our grandchildren come from? You know, so and what would our grandchildren do if mom is 23, 24, 25, and she gets, you know, she gets recruited, or she gets whatever you call it. So I think that you know, prayer without action is nothing. We really have to pray, but we've got to really be active as much as we can in this process to ensure that our families are taken care of, that the rules and the laws that are governing us, and that so we cannot sleep. Okay, are there any more questions? Any more concerns? Okay, so we'll talk about elections. We're going to talk about Juneteenth. Okay, I'm going to let you know what's going on and what you can expect next month when we come in. Again, in June, I will also bring in, hopefully, the elections department so that they can get you ready for August. And then we will talk a little bit more about a few things that I think will be happening in the city. I know that you guys have been calling about construction that's going on 27th Avenue. You want to know what's going on there, what's happening. We'll be more than happy to tell you about those upcoming projects. And until then, I say to all of you, be safe and may God keep you. I always ask the gentleman to say prayer so that